What's going on, Failroaders? I'm Joshua Thomas, and I'm back, and I forgot to turn on my lighting. Pretend I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. You might be able to hear some fireworks in the background. Baseball game just ended in town. I knew I was going to forget something. I spent like the last 5 minutes just checking audio and the audio levels of the videos that are playing and all that kind of stuff. But you might be wondering, hey, why are we looking at Chapter 2 when the title says we're going to analyze the ending? I just want to make sure that I didn't post any spoilery content right here at the very beginning before I had a chance to say massive spoiler warnings, obviously, for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but also for the OG Final Fantasy VII, and possibly, honestly, the rest of the compilation as well, because we may end up talking about anything. And of course, you guys in the chat, I'm also waiting for people to join in on the chat, may make some comments regarding other parts of the Final Fantasy VII compilation. And yeah, this is one of those ones where go for it. You know, this is a spoilery live stream, so you're welcome to post some spoilers in the chat as well, because we're pretty open to talk about anything here. So welcome, guys. I see some people just hopped in, and yeah, we're going to talk about everything. So I once again say, spoiler warning for everything Final Fantasy VII compilation. So now I'm going to switch it over to what you all came here for, the final chapter stuff, and I'll increase the volume as well so that you guys can hear it a little bit better. Let's get the final chapter up and running. Let me know how you guys are doing. As I look for the first thing I want to talk about here, it's not going to be the very beginning of the chapter, but if you guys once again want to check it out, then absolutely, as we're going through these different videos, we'll talk about it. So here's where we're going to go first, and I'm going to say another thing before I continue much further on here. Once again, Sector 5, Undercity Church. Yeah, this is where we're going to start. I have started to watch some other commentary on the game itself, although I'm trying to avoid end-game content. I have, however, watched some blind playthroughs and some playthroughs of the ending to start getting a sense of what people are thinking of the ending of Rebirth. So let me know also in a comment whether you think the ending of Rebirth is more controversial than the ending of Remake. So FF7 Rebirth ending or FF7 Remake ending, which one did you think was the crazier one, or the one that went off the rails more? They both go off the rails a bit, and they definitely change some things up. And we'll definitely talk about that regarding Rebirth here. So I'll monitor the chat. And of course I get the warnings constantly that the stream is currently under the recommended bit rate, but it always goes fine. I have it set to 2600 bit rate, and it's like you need a 6800 bit rate, so, or kbps I should say. Nevertheless, we are good here. I made sure to do plenty of audio checks, but once again, in stream, if the video is too quiet or if my voice is too quiet, just let me know. Yeah, video appears to be fine. So here we go. We're going to start this, and I'm going to refer to, I was watching a lot of this. So we get what appears to be, I'm going to back it up here. Unfortunately, I don't have too much flexibility with this player that I'm using. It's just the media player. But yeah, we have the confirmation here, and of course confirmation in multiple scenes at the beginning of chapter 14 that we've got at least 5 different dimensions confirmed, or 5 different realities, whatever you want to call them. This is why I tend to say, even though Aerith considers it to be, she says, think of it more as a dream, my dream to be specific. I don't know that we would technically call it her dream. I don't know that we're in the live stream. I really do think that this is something that Sephiroth has done, because he once again talks about, worlds separating and that kind of thing. But yeah, this could be a long one, y'all. So we're going to continue here.
Or Aerith. How the hell am I supposed to choose?
I'm going to turn this up a little bit for you guys. So we have Sephiroth appearing here.
Sephiroth! Hey!
So yeah, this is the Chihuahua verse, I guess we can call it. I think that dog is a Chihuahua. There's still, no matter how many times I've seen a lot of these scenes here, it is still so confusing. But we see here that Sephiroth has some whispers that create a portal, or Sephiroth creates a portal that sends Zack down into here. And then we start to see the pearlescence. There's the grand finale for the fireworks, if you're hearing that. I'm going to refer to that rainbowy light, that shimmering light right there, as the pearlescence. And then we have the yellow flowers, which definitely indicates Aerith's intervention here, if you will. You'll see. So yeah, he follows in the direction, and there's the pearlescence that I'm talking about. And I meant to look further back before the stream started, but I just ran out of time to see where the pearlescence first begins, and that might have been it right there. And then we're in the church, so I want to pause right here. So once again, it's important to note this cross. This is the outline of the cross. Whereas in one instance we have a wooden cross that was in one of the remake endings. I think it was the one where Zack busts through the door, which remains sort of open-ended if you think about it. There's really no explanation for where that fits in to the end of this. At least I have not been able to analyze this enough and look back at the other ending in remake to really try to figure that out. This is also important too, though. We've got plenty of yellow flowers here. So unlike over at Elmira's house, where only a couple flowers survive, we know that at least in this one, at least in, I don't even know what dog it is, but I think that Zack scene was in the 5th dimension of the stamps. This one is still the 3rd one, the one where we're playing in, where it's a husky, maybe? Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if whatever kind of dog it is when we actually play as Cloud in the so-called dream sequence. But yeah, yellow flowers here.
This is it, right?
This is such a well-done scene too.
Bingo.
That was easy.
I told you it was obvious.
Well, you'll have to give me a harder one next time.
He says you'll have to give me a harder one next time.
Next time?
Yeah, next time.
Next time. So Cloud's like, yeah, let's do this again. And this is where she says, at least I know where you and I stand. So I think what she means is that given the right circumstances, Cloud and Aerith would be an item. I do believe that's what this means.
I really like you. But then, like can mean a lot of different things, can't it?
Yeah.
Because there's liking.
There's liking, and then there's liking.
Liking.
So, it's...
Seriously, what's going on? You've been weird all day.
So yeah, my take on this is just that Aerith got to get the answer that she was never able to get, and this Aerith right here, it's tough to say which one she is, but we'll go in to this a little bit later. And I mean a very little bit later.
I'm sorry.
This is definitely just a call for... This is some fan service for all the Aerith fans out there, but also this is another thing I'll have to do in a different video.
Don't blame yourself.
God, this is such a good scene, and I know during my playthrough I tended not to show too much emotion because it's like my emotions need time to catch up. But knowing what happens next, like when I'm watching other people play this, like I get a little choked up.
Thank you.
Even though in my playthrough of this, that doesn't really
I'll be
happen.
okay.
I just got a ring notification, so that's probably people in the neighborhood
Mom gave that to you.
saying,
This isn't about me.
I heard gunshots, and it's just the fireworks that were going off.
And you.
Boom, right here. So we get the Pearl Essence again. Excuse me, guys, for clearing my throat so much. She's got the Holy Materia. It is white. It is filled, so to speak. So it is curious to wonder if this is... once again, what version of Aerith is this? Is this Lifestream Aerith, or is this simply another version of Aerith who has not lost all of her memories? Or is this just a version of Aerith where only the memories that our Aerith have lost are retained in this one? So is this even a complete Aerith? Are any of the Aeriths in any of these realities complete aside from our own? The one that's in the Beagleverse. Reality 1. And the reason I say that, and I have sort of some issues with how this goes, because once again, it's like it suggests in this game that because Aerith lost her memories, that the white materia, the holy materia, lost its power because she lost her memories, even though materia isn't necessarily made up of the memories of the person holding them. They're made up of the memories of people from long, long ago. They're made up of random memories, maybe from the Cetra, who it says are the ones who created these materia. But nevertheless, all we need to know at this point is that this Aerith has her memories that are needed for this holy materia to be complete. So, welcome to the chat. I see some more people hopped in, or there we go, yeah. So, heavy spoilers in this, but I'm sure you knew that from the thumbnail. So right now we're talking about what version of Aerith this is, and what it took for her to have a complete materia versus one that is empty, like the Aerith in our reality has. So anyway, we know that this Aerith has the complete materia, and she's going to give it to Cloud, and through this connection, it's really, I guess, mostly a mental connection that Cloud is creating through these different dimensions because he is unconscious in reality 1 and conscious in this reality, which is like reality 3 or something like that. It's the Huskyverse or whatever the dog is. And so it is literally Cloud's consciousness that is bringing the knowledge of this materia back to our Aerith. So it's also interesting to think that this Aerith that we're talking to right now is not our Aerith, because our Aerith needs this information, this complete white materia, in order to complete her prayer in our universe, so to speak.
So thank you, Cloud, for everything.
The flowers disappear, and they're what turned the portal. I think it's awesome that the flowers sort of disappear to make the portal. He falls in. This scene is done so freaking well. He sees Sephiroth falling in. My God. Oh, it's so good, y'all. It's so freaking good, this scene right here. And this is the one where I just get choked up thinking about it. This is the scene that suggests that Sephiroth isn't just going to this reality to prune Aerith, so to speak, if I'm using some Marvel's cinematic multiverse terms here. Sephiroth is going to all of the realities in which Aerith exists. Once again, we know that there's at least 5. We don't know that there are more than that. I did hear somebody speak about there being 6, and I'm not exactly sure where 6 comes in. That could just be a theory of theirs, but we at least know that Sephiroth is pruning the Aeriths in all of these timelines. Regardless of the situation, this is proof of that. But oh my God, it's so good. So good. This one, the rest of this is, man, I'm still befuddled as to what exactly all of this means. Of course, we see the pearlescence again, the rainbowy light, and then we see white whispers and black whispers fighting each other. It is difficult to understand the motivations of these whispers in certain areas. In certain areas, it seems like the white whispers are protecting Cloud. In other areas, it seems like the black whispers are shooing away the white ones. So, let me back up here, because this is important too. What we're about to see Cloud do, or what we're about to see Sephiroth do, we see all of these different realities here. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, it could just be a random number that they came up with. There was an 8th one in there.
Nature of reality.
The true nature of reality. And then we get all these different scenes.
Are breached. New worlds are born.
Scene of Zack. Cloud's watching it.
The planet encompasses a multitude of worlds, ever unfolding.
A multitude of worlds ever unfolding.
Some quickly perish, while others endure.
Some quickly perish. Like, this is like Marvel multiverse stuff going on here. But maybe not to quite so large of an extent.
Nevertheless, their loss is not to be mourned. For it is not death, but a homecoming that awaits them. In the planet's embrace, all life is as one.
So we see them going into another one.
All born are bound to her. Should this world be unmade, so too shall her children.
He'd tell you that he only cares about the planet. that he'd do everything in his power.
Getting a few lines from the remake.
But this isn't the way it's supposed
Back
to.
when with this Aerith, the one who did have visions of the future. Our current Aerith doesn't have visions of the future. We see this one right here is important because it's two melding together. It's at least two melding together, and we can somewhat assume that maybe the others are also melding together as well. It's the homecoming that Sephiroth was talking about.
I thought you might finally understand. Cloud, lend me your strength. Let us defy.
Once again, showing us the end
together.
of Remake.
Seconds till the end. Time enough for you. Perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see. Let go of the past, Cloud.
And then I love this part right here.
The future is bright.
Sephiroth
Witness.
says, "Let me give you some motivation."
Reunion.
We see the Whispers coming together to form this one. And this is all about the Black Robes right here. All moments involving the Black Robes. And then it culminates in Cloud being one of the Black Robes. So it's still one of those situations where I'm not even sure what it's supposed to mean. And it could just be one of those things where it's so freaking cryptic that we're not going to understand it fully until part 3. And of course, it could just mean, you know, hey, Cloud shares a, you know, this connection with the Black Robes. And it's eventually going to give Sephiroth, the true Sephiroth, the Black Materia. So yeah, let me give you the push. It's like Sephiroth puts himself in the middle of the portal
My blessing.
to cause Cloud to lunge towards this particular one. And then we get back to the Sleeping Forest. I am so glad they kept this in. Then we fight some Whispers. Sephiroth is like, hey, you shouldn't have that here. Poor form, Cloud. So let me load up the next one. We're cut through, skip through all this fighting. We're fighting the Black Whispers. Let me know, guys, in the chat if this volume is good for you guys.
You're okay.
If it needs to be turned up or turned down, just let me know.
I can feel it. Watching us.
Very, very similar to the OG.
Yeah. But forget about him for now. Just
Even though the
focus on
dialogue's
yourself,
different.
Okay?
But I'm fine.
They did a really good job here.
Focus on you, Cloud. The one I've been trying to find.
I'm gonna skip this ad for right now. I don't know if I'll be able to skip the next
Leave
ad.
Sephiroth to me. I can handle him. He's planning to use the black materia, but I won't let that happen. He has to be stopped by a
I said this in the very beginning, so guys, let me know if there are any particular moments that you want to see or talk about regarding the ending here. So once we get through all the way to the ending, I am going to skip through a lot of stuff. So here we go. So Cloud is handing Aerith the complete holy materia, the white materia. And once again, this is happening all in sort of a subconscious. Now Aerith sticks it behind her head, and we see the pearl essence. It's very faint. But then, if you watch her movements, I don't think that Aerith swaps them out. I think what she does is she literally takes the one that Cloud has, and she transfers that knowledge into the one that's already in her bow. So you see her take it. And of course it just could have to do with the animation. And once it transfers, you know, that glow that we see behind her is the memories transferring into the one that she has, and she hands the empty one back to Cloud.
Thanks for returning it to me, Cloud. I appreciate it. But now, it belongs with you.
So once again, you know, she hands the empty one to Cloud.
It looks empty.
There are some sections where I don't necessarily like when they have you pressing and holding the buttons just to do simple movements. Okay, so these are the White Whispers here, stopping Cloud. This one felt good to me, having to hold down the trigger buttons to try and get through the Whispers. This was well done. Yeah, I felt it. I felt it at this moment. I'm just like, oh, please, Aerith, come back. I'm crawling. I am crawling towards her. So then, I'm gonna skip ahead a lot here. Gonna skip way ahead. The final menu. I've got one of them. One of my video clips is called the Final Menu Simulator. It's the one right before the final bout where the game warns you, hey, look, this is your last chance to adjust your inventory and your equipment. Oh my god, yep. This is the tough one. This is the tough one. Let's go forward to where she starts talking. I really like that we can hear her prayer here. Or her asking, like, hey, I know I don't know how to pray, but I'm trying. I really love that they added that detail in. Also, the way her voice shifts. When Cloud gets just high enough on the stairs, it shifts from sort of hearing her far away to hearing her directly. That's just a small little detail that I love about this. If my camera also, if my little face cutout is in the way of anything that I'm talking about, just let me know in the chat and I can move that around as well. So, when I was watching other playthroughs of the game, it was really interesting. You know, we're holding R2 and L2 to move forward here, but then we get to this, and of course the Black Whispers come in, they swirl around the sword, and Cloud's fighting it like the best he can. And then we get to this point right here. I tell you what, I did not press the buttons because I was just like, I'm not pressing this. I'm not doing this because my party members aren't here to stop me. It was really cool to watch blind players. They just instantly started tapping them because they were just like, oh, this is the game's telling me to do this. Whereas a lot of people who played the OG would not touch them. They were very reluctant, like I was. They either didn't press them or they sort of hesitated and then started clicking it, and they were like, what am I supposed to do here? Either way, the result is the same. So this is something, once again, that I've seen several times, just rewatching these video clips that I have here and watching the endings to a lot of other people's playthroughs. Once again, we see the pearlescence, and it's really... Let me see if I can just backtrack. How far did that backtrack? That was more than 10 seconds. I'll have to use the button from now on. Watch. Get back up here, Cloud. So it's almost as though we see a pearlescent light break the bond that Cloud has around his sword. So we got the Black Whispers, and then the moment Cloud is able to break through it, we see that pearlescent light again. Right now we don't see it. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the pearlescence means. Oftentimes it has to do with Aerith. Hey, what's up, Renaissance Elf? Buongiorno. So here we see it, yep. We see a little bit more of that pearlescent light. Oh, ça va bien. I say ça va bien. Okay, thank you, man. And then it's interesting to see here that it's only after we seem to have thwarted Destiny that the Black Whispers go away. That was another thing that was in a previous video, and I should go back to that after one of my previous video clips. Now the characters can come in. A lot of people are wondering if Cloud is hallucinating during this time. We see the pearlescence come down on the sword, and then it appears to be gone. We see the blood. Actually, Ka is pronounced Sa. Okay. Ça va bien. Got it. Anyways, I wonder what happened since Cloud deflected the blade. Yeah. It's hard. It's so hard to say. Now, once again, let me pause. Nope. Let me back up, because we see the pearlescent light again. Right here. It's hard to say exactly what's going on. In certain cases, like Sephiroth should be standing right here. I think it's the Schrodinger's theory, Aerith is alive and dead at the same time. That's absolutely a plausible theory right there, because the way that it is portrayed, you could almost see it as Cloud being in two different dimensions at the same time, or seeing two different instances of this death sequence, but we'll move further into it. But either way, you know, in one that there's blood, and one there's not blood. But we see the pearlescent light around here, and it feels like we should have Sephiroth standing right here. There are some inconsistencies with the placement of characters, and that happens multiple times in these sequences. I'm going to make a separate video on my thoughts on how they handled the death scene compared to the OG. And then there's a little splash there. I'm just going to back up 10 seconds so you can see that splash again. That's a wimpy splash. They could have done better on that. Even though... I mean, this is a huge game, and I'm sure by the time they got to this, they were like, hey guys, we don't have time to put in a giant splash. The way that he cradles her here, absolutely outstanding. The blocking and the emotion that they have right there is great. Zack is alive, which gives credence to that theory. Also, Aerith feels Zack's touch when he touches her hand in the Terrier world. Yeah. Yeah, our Aerith feels it in the Beagleverse when Zack touches her hand in the Terrierverse. Yeah. What's the third world? The one where we're actually in the dream sequence? Is that a husky? The stamp version there? I know there's like a husky, a what could be a bulldog or a pug, and then the fifth one appears to be a chihuahua. I was talking about that earlier before you hopped on. There are about 6 worlds. I've seen the 6 world theory, but I've only counted 5 so far. And those are the ones that we've seen. So, and I also earlier mentioned that you know, pay attention to the cross and the flowers in the church. So far, they'll all match up. Like there's nothing that appears to be different about them. But anyway, we're going to continue on here. Yeah, man, the way that he cradles her right here, you can definitely tell. And the laugh. Once again, let me know if it's too quiet for you guys. The way that Sephiroth laughs here, it's like, man, I did it. I frickin' did it. Because it wasn't just...
Your tears are empty.
This version of Sephiroth, it wasn't just having to kill her in this instance, it was also having to kill her in all the other instances of these realities as well.
Just like
At the... Okay, whichever one Zack's in at the end, that part right there too, I'm gonna back it up. Such a good addition to this. Sephiroth freaking throws Aerith's blood on Cloud. Like, what the fuck? That is traumatizing right there. So then we have our first reversal here.
Wow. It's okay.
And in some of these instances, like I believe this one right here, we have Cloud and Aerith alone together, and you should be able to see there's a couple instances where you should be able to see other characters, but you don't. So that's also interesting. And then our other characters come in. Alright, so let me back this up. I'm going to try and freeze it on the right moment here, because things happen so fast here. Boom! Right there, okay. So it's hard to tell right here, but this does appear to be blood, and it looks like the blood is right here too. They didn't do the best job. I'm going to wait for the HUD to disappear so that you guys can see it better. But we have this moment where they switch back and forth. Renaissance, you say you think Aerith will wake up in the Terrier world and reunite with Zack? Okay. I think they'll do some kind of fan service like that. Okay, I think the HUD's going to stay up because it's not playing right now, so I'm sorry about that. Either way, it does appear that her blood is right there, because here in a second... And notice it zooms in on Tifa's eyes, and this is where we start seeing flashes of blood and no blood. Interesting thing here is that it appears to be Tifa that is witnessing this. Usually when they want you to understand who is viewing something, they zoom in on that person and zoom out on them afterwards, or they zoom in on one person and zoom out on another person to show that multiple people were witnessing something. But in this instance, you'll notice that they don't zoom to Cloud's eyes, they zoom in and out on Tifa's eyes. And this is the reason, yeah, right there. They don't cut back to Cloud, they cut back to Tifa, which implies that they, at least Tifa, possibly multiple people, are able to see this weird glitch going on. One thing that they don't do, not to be picky, is Aerith's hair should be longer considering the length of her ponytail. Oh yeah, that's just, yeah, I can understand that. It's one of those situations where they've got two separate models of her, and yeah, the length of hair is a little different. It's understandable. I do wonder, you know, once again, this game is so freaking huge, if the reason they did that was because the longer hair would have required more polygons.
And so it begins. A confluence of worlds.
You still see the pearlescence. Sephiroth's talking about a confluence of worlds.
Chief among them.
Lost chief among them, suggesting that, once again, he's talking about the fact that he was able to prune Aerith in all of these instances. So in all of them, they are experiencing this loss of Aerith, possibly.
Moments of joy, transforming them into rage, sadness, hatred.
They got this sort of anime, like, focusing on everybody's face except for Tifa's. Once again, we have the pearlescence in the background.
I got this.
And this is one of those instances where we actually do see the other party members. Though, once again, Sephiroth should be in the background. We got the White Whispers here. And then we turn, and we see the party members at the same time. So, once again, that's adding to the confusion, adding to this multiple worlds possibly combining.
You'll never see the truth with such clouded eyes.
Shut up!
After all,
I'm gonna pause it here so I can read your comments. I think we'll be getting a lot more context once Ever Crisis releases its anniversary. When we see a young Angeal and a young Genesis, yeah. I think the only way to stop Sephiroth is to learn his true past. That could be interesting, to learn a little bit about Sephiroth's past. And I will say I still haven't gotten the latest chapter. I haven't finished the latest chapter in the first soldier in Ever Crisis, because once again that final boss, they upped the difficulty level so high on that freaking thing that I still just haven't tried to go back to it, and I'm just going to wait for the patch where they make everything easier. And I agree with making things easier in Ever Crisis, at least for the story mode, because there's plenty of other things that, yeah, June 26th, yeah. So, June 26th, that's when I'll try to re-tackle that. You're waiting for the patch too? Yeah. Because apparently the ending to that chapter in the first soldier story is something interesting. So I do look forward to watching that, and I am going to wait to see it myself before watching other people's opinions on it. But anyway, back to this.
you're just a puppet.
I do like that they call him just a puppet here as opposed to waiting till after the fight, because once again, it's like you have this moment, and now you're about to go into possibly an hour to an hour and a half worth of boss fights here, depending on how well you did. I got my ass handed to me by Sephiroth in the final battle. Love the banter of these different characters. You know, they're so angry, they're like, you're gonna be sorry, you know. I think that was Red that said that, and of course their limits are all filled, which is a great touch, except for Cloud's. Because once again, something weird is going on with Cloud, so his limit's not filled. And regardless of what theory you might subscribe to, I know there's the, you know, the one that I lean towards is that this is more of a live stream Aerith that we're dealing with here. At the end, after all this is said and done, there's some people who are like, oh man, is this Jenova? Is this a Jenova Aerith? Genovarith? Genovarith? It sounds too much like Jenova Roth. Genovarith. Anyway, I don't subscribe to that one, and I'll get to that after we skip past these hours of boss battles. I will just say this though. Aerith's theme playing in the background here is absolutely beautiful. Very angelic. And it definitely strikes the feelings. Renaissance, you said, what I was kind of curious about was Sephiroth's reaction to Zack, how he didn't question it. Okay. That's one of those things, it is hard to determine how he feels about that, because we can assume that he knows, based on everything else that's happened, that Zack is dead, because, yeah, Zack doesn't come back in Advent Children, even though we see him in Advent Children. Sephiroth, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, never sees him. And it could be that that he just knew that one of the changes that he was creating was going to be that Zack survived. And there could be a reason why Sephiroth wanted Zack to survive. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, we're going to skip ahead past all the boss... Not all the boss fights, but the Life Clinger, and... I'm trying to remember if there were any scenes I wanted to show before we get to Aerith and Cloud fighting Sephiroth.
Taking over.
Oh man. The first time I saw... I'll just go back to the beginning of that. I didn't pause it in time. The first time I saw Aerith or Cloud get stabbed by Sephiroth, I was just like, ah, like that hurt. That hurt. Let me go back to this one. This is it right here. So let's go right here. So we appear to be in the same area that Sephiroth talked to Cloud at the ending of Remake. You don't think Zack's surviving had anything to do with Sephiroth? Either it was Aerith or maybe even Minerva. I could also see it being Aerith. Definitely, you know, because she altered the portal back in the Remake before they stepped through it. She could have had a hand in it, and of course, Livestream Aerith could have had a hand in it as well. Zack actually said, "That wind was you?" Yeah, that's true. He was wondering if that wind was her. Even though, if I remember correctly, from that, it was a black whisper, or back then, I don't think they were black and white whispers, they were just, we'll call them the gray whispers before Sephiroth took control of them. So it could have been them. That might be a whole nother video. But here we see the white whispers and the pearlescence has returned. So it suggests that Aerith may actually be controlling these particular whispers right here, much in the sense that Sephiroth controls the black ones. And then this is so good. Aerith is walking through a portal. The pearlescents glow all around her. They make sure that we see a scene like this where it emphasizes that Aerith is wearing her bow. And so it's, you know, suggests that she's got her holy materia, even regardless of whether this is a live stream Aerith or not. They're showing us that she's wearing her bow. And then they transform this into this sort of pool of white light. And then, of course, Sephiroth. I underestimated you. We gotta pause right here because this shot is just absolutely freaking awesome right here. Cloud and Aerith getting ready to join up and kick Sephiroth's ass, or get their asses handed to them, like what happened to me. Oh man, what would have been even better is if Zack would have been present for that battle too, but they are saving an Aerith-Zack reunion for a climactic part in Part 3. I can certainly see that happening. I do believe they want to, once again, they've talked about, you know, leaving everything off on a happy note, but also the devs said that the end of Part 3 will connect directly to Advent Children. So to me that means the people who are dead, the people who are alive, but the one big difference is going to be that there will be some change that has happened because of the remake trilogy that will A, either mean that Sephiroth is dead, or B, will mean that in the Advent Children movie, the change has been made that when Cloud defeats Sephiroth in Advent Children, it's done. Like, there's some kind of change in Cloud himself that allows him to end everything in Advent Children. So that's what it means to me. But I do agree that something will be changed by the end of this trilogy. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, hey, we took you on this crazy journey, but now everything's the same, even though it all ties into Advent Children. So we'll see how that goes. Either way, badass freeze frame right here. Either they redeem Sephiroth at the very end and they destroy Sephiroth or they destroy Sephiroth and they create another parallel universe where Zack and Aerith will go to live the rest of their lives. I think that would definitely be really fun for the fans, although I think, once again, I feel like that would undermine even more the meaning of life and death in FF7. I know a lot of fans would love that. I personally hope that they don't do that. Once again, I hope that who's dead is dead and who's alive is alive. But either way, that does mean that Zack and Aerith will get to be together, and I do think that they will have a moment together as well. But this will be for another video as well, where I talk about No Promises to Keep and the meanings behind it and all that kind of stuff. But either way, and this area right here, so this area right here is very reminiscent of the pool that they ended up in Remake before Sephiroth enters and we see the meteor, and then they go into their fight with Sephiroth. They would still be dead in the main timeline, but in another universe, that is something different. Definitely that doesn't undermine the theme of death. Sort of. For the player, though, it kind of does, but I understand what you mean. Like, in the individual characters in our timeline, the death would be permanent for them. So yeah, and then they fight. And then we skip to after the fight. I got one called We Get Owned by Sephiroth, where I die a couple times. And then we got Cloud and Aerith beat Sephiroth. Yeah. Let me skip forward to the very end here. This part right here, the Tempus Finis, is what absolutely kicked my ass. So much was going on, and I was trying to analyze it all while at the same time trying to survive. And it was finally, this was like my 5th or 6th attempt, and I realized that I just needed to save at least one of Cloud's limits for this point right here, and then pressure Sephiroth to get him staggered, and then just unleash. I was just like, yes, finishing touch, that's what I'm going to use. And I'm not taking any chances. I'm just like, Aerith, you do something as well. Yes! Finishing touch. Alright. Sephiroth. Sephiroth swing should be bigger. It's fine. It's fine the size it is. And then he just flies off. But it's like Aerith says, he knows that this isn't the end.
Why is he laughing?
Because he knows this isn't over.
At least not for him. Once again, we got the White Whispers here. Love this shot they're about to do here. You can see that they just paused it. They didn't really pause it, but they slow down this moment right here, just to give you a moment to look at it, right here.
Ready?
Definitely an Advent Children throwback. You wonder how Genesis will fit in, and if they include Angeal. Yeah, I have no idea if they will in Part 3 or not. We have Aerith disappear here, so that to me says that this is absolutely 100% the livestream Aerith that was at work here. And then we go on to the final cutscenes, where all the crazy shit happens. Where they go the most off the rails.
We got him.
They got the White Whispers here.
So this is it, huh? Time to say goodbye. For now.
Zack will play a bigger role in Part 3. It's a very good possibility. That's one thing I'm going to talk about here. We see the pearlescence here. Zack falling through a portal. Once again, I feel like the pearlescence has something to do with Aerith's influence. And then here. These appear to be White Whispers, but it's kind of hard to tell because it's so bright. It's also interesting, Tifa doesn't say a single word after the final battles. She's the only character out of the main party who doesn't say a single word. And Vincent doesn't count. We see the White Whispers here again. One of them passes by the camera, and then it's just Cloud and Aerith. We get the pearlescence again. So now it's just, you know, they zoom out and show it's just him and her. This is a part where I got choked up. Because once again, they pulled a fast one on us.
Aerith. Wake up.
He says wake up, and I'm just like, is she gonna frickin' wake up? What the frick's gonna go on here? And then she opens her eyes, and I was just like, oh my god! Oh my god! I do have some issues, though, particularly Renaissance with how they handled Aerith's death scenes. Hard to not be a Clarith fan. I get that, yeah. This was definitely a love letter to Aerith. Rebirth was. And I think rightfully so, because to our party, once again, so Cloud says wake up, and she opens her eyes. And then we cut straight to after the funeral. All we get are, you know, everybody sad and mopey. So that's one thing that I don't enjoy that they did. I think they have reasons for having done it, though I think they could have done that particular segment a little bit better. But they do make it a point to show the wide shot of everyone except for Aerith.
Can't stay here forever. We'd best get moving.
You think Part 3 will go off the rails more? Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's very possible. I think they're still going to hit all the marks. So he gets the memory hit of her death and the white materia falling, and then she's here, and then you get the sort of mystical music. And I heard one person say, because of the music, they were like, "Oh my God, this is Genova." But I'll go into why I don't think this is a hallucination. I don't think this is Genova. I think this is Lifestream Aerith, or if this is a hallucination, there's a mixture of hallucinations and Lifestream Aerith going on here. And obviously Cloud is the only one that can see her. He's the only one who even remotely cracks a smile or just isn't sad, because to him, she's still around in some manner.
Come on.
So you see where Aerith is standing here. And I love this little detail. Cloud looks at Aerith, even though Tifa can't see her. Right here, Cloud looks at Aerith, smiles, and then walks away. I'm gonna pause here, hold on a second. Gotta run, wish you could stay, but gotta go to the job. Got it. Heading to Canada July 9th. Hey man, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your comments, Renaissance Elf. Have a good time at work, have a good time in Canada too. But yeah, once again, wide shot, no Aerith. And then they cut away. We have Midgar here. We've got the scene with Rufus.
I have to admit, you were quite the man.
You were quite the man.
Who, me?
And then, of course, Glenn shows up. It's going to be interesting to see how First Soldier ends, because this scene right here is definitely interesting. We know that since Glenn is wearing this black robe, even though it does not match perfectly with the other black robes, there's absolutely a similarity to it.
You're probably right.
Nevertheless, this is a slightly different model of black robe,
Still got results though, even without
with the belt, the sort of sashes on the shoulders, the fact that there's no symbol on it.
You know, Glenn, I'm on to you. This war is nothing but a ploy to distract me from Sephiroth.
Interesting that Rufus says this here.
How very astute.
How very astute. And then we get this reveal here.
Regardless, the plan is already in motion.
Our promised land will become reality. A father's dream accomplished by his son.
I want the real thing.
So let's back up here also.
Without him, resistance elements are more fired up than ever.
You know, Glenn,
Anyway, you haven't seen Viceroy Saruf, have you?
So you haven't seen Viceroy Saruf.
Show at an important event. Fools.
maybe he wouldn't have if you'd spent some money on that set.
If you'd spent some money on that set.
You're probably right. Rich kids do like things just so.
Rich kids do like things just so. I didn't catch up on this. I didn't catch on to this when I first watched it in my playthrough, because I was still absorbing as much as I could, and it was, once again, the last chapter in Remake went off the rails, and the last chapter here went off the rails too. Let me know also, what you guys thought. Which ending do you think was crazier? Do you guys think it was Remake or Rebirth that went even crazier? For me, I still feel like it is Remake's ending that went a little more off the rails, because it's the one that started everything. It's the one that started this deviation and this separation of worlds and this breaking of Fate's chain. But either way, Viceroy Rufus, and then him saying rich boys, you know, like it so, makes me think that Rufus is Viceroy Saruf, and that is why there was no Saruf during that news conference or that surprise declaration with Glenn, because and that's also why Rufus, when he was in the Shinra building with all of his other executives, had such a shocked look on his face, because he was like, wait a second, I'm Saruf. Who's going to show up here? And then no one does, and he's like, ah, I see what you're doing there. GG, good game.
Still got results, though, even without him. Resistance.
Imitation.
But an imitation's all you deserve.
Let me know what you guys think about the robe, too. If you think Glenn's robe is different enough that it warrants not being in the black robe, or if it's too similar. Because then we get this here. And then it transforms into the black robe figure, so you see the difference between them.
Just like old.
That's creepy, too. Like, imagine if that happened in front of you. I mean, hopefully you're not shooting people in the back, but imagine if something that you were just like, hey, this person's dead, and then they just freaking raise up off the floor. Then we get this scene right here. We got the Black Whispers, obviously controlled by Sephiroth. And then we have the two weapons here. This is something I didn't notice until now, when I was seeing them in this scene. One is slightly purple and one is slightly blue. The blue one is the one that swallowed Tifa because it has the cut on its shoulder. You'll see the cut right here. And it appears that they're still doing battle with the Black Whispers, and it's hard to say whether they're in a stalemate or whether they're winning. Okay, this is where, in the beginning of the video, I said pay attention to the flowers and the cross.
Did I?
Zack wakes up here, and we have full luscious flowers, and we have the cross, which is not wooden. It's the stone version of the cross. I'll have to do, this is another one where I'm going to have to put these, like all these different instances of the church together to see if there are any other differences. I haven't had time to do that yet, but that's definitely something that I will get around to doing as I make more and more videos analyzing the ending here and talking about possibilities. But
I couldn't have dreamt that.
couldn't have dreamt that.
It all felt way too real. Just as worlds unite, so too do they part.
He's repeating what Sephiroth said.
But who's to say they can't unite again?
But who's to say they can't unite again? Absolutely, it's kind of like what Renaissance Elf said earlier. I hate that he had to leave. That, yeah, there's going to be a possibly a bigger role for Zack to play, and we did see that, of course, Zack has a full combat set here, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to say that there could be actual more stories involving Zack and him actually having some combat later on. Apologies, guys, if you heard me burp. So, but yeah, who's to say they can't reunite? But if we go back here, go back a little bit more, go back and forward a little bit more. There. It's very possible that this version could be the version that Cloud and Aerith were in, or it could be the Beagleverse, the world in which Cloud and the rest of the party are in, and in which Aerith is dead. We don't know. It's like Renaissance said here, there's a theory that this is a sixth one, and I don't know that we have any evidence that there is a sixth one yet, aside from the fact that when, Cloud was going through the portal with Sephiroth, there were multiple instances, more than 5, at least 8, that we looked at there.
I couldn't have dreamt that. It all felt way too real.
But whichever one we're in, obviously the flowers are alive and well here.
So too do they part. But who's to say they can't unite again?
Then Nibelheim the next day. And it's hard to tell whether these people can see the black robes. But they do notice that, not the black robes, the whispers. But they do recognize that the black robes are acting differently. Now here's the big one, where I feel like we've got the evidence that this is indeed Livestream Aerith. I love that Sid is humming the traditional Final Fantasy music. I'm going to raise that up a little bit more so you guys can hear that. Dun, 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 dun. So this right here, this shot with Sid humming the tune in the background feels very reminiscent. It feels like a callback to Final Fantasy I, where they have the adventurers on top of a hill over here, and then they've got, I think there's a body of water in the middle. There's at least a chasm, and then I think the castle is on the other side. Someone mentioned in the comments later whether I'm correct about that. I can look it up later, but I think that's how it goes. And I think that I like that little callback to it. So Cloud's on this hill looking at the white materia, the clear one. Everybody's helping Sid. Well, Barrett and Kate are helping Sid fix the Highwind. Don't know where they got the wings from and the new engine, but okay, they got it. And then we've got Aerith here.
So, what Aerith actually do anyway?
It's interesting also here, watch how Aerith reacts to the thrust from the tiny Bronco.
Well?
You see a shockwave, her dress doesn't interact with it, everybody else does, and then she turns.
Cleared for takeoff.
Finally!
So it's almost as though Aerith couldn't feel the thrust from it, and she couldn't hear it either. I don't know if that's the situation, that if that's what they wanted us to sort of get from that short scene. I'll show it to you again. Just watch Aerith, and watch everybody else. See, Aerith looks to Kate Sith and Barrett when they react, and she's like, oh, something happened behind me. So, watch it one more time.
Well?
There's the thrust. Aerith doesn't react. She notices that everyone else does, and then she looks behind her. So this is one of the reasons why I think that this is not a hallucination and this isn't a Jenova Aerith. That this is indeed the livestream Aerith. Because if this was Cloud sitting on top of the hill, imagining Aerith being down here, I feel like this imaginary Aerith, Imagirith, would have turned at the same time as the others. Once again, maybe I'm overanalyzing, but they made it apparent that, once again, they gave her the animation of looking to the others and being like, what happened behind me? I'm going to show it to you one more time.
Well?
And then she looks and is like, oh, hey.
And with that, we are cleared for takeoff.
And then she's like, yeah! And then she appears over here with Yuffie. It's almost like she's kind of watching over everybody, which is really awesome. And then this shot right here, too, is just a testament to how detailed these models are. I mean, look at the sweater. Look at Yuffie's sweater and how it moves when she breathes.
There.
It's so good. They did such a good job on this stuff. And then reason number 2 is Red appears to sense her presence.
Aerith?
These are things that Aerith wouldn't be doing if she was a hallucinatory Aerith or a Jenova version of Aerith. So Aerith is going over to all of her friends and one by one just sort of being there with them, being in the moment with them. Such a great scene too. I'll play back Red as well, so because it is very subtle, and you can make the argument that Red is just mourning Aerith and just happens to say her name, but I do believe that he is absolutely sensing her presence there. And once again, that's just the hint that makes me think, no, this isn't a hallucination, this is livestream Aerith.
Aerith?
Cloth simulations are so good. They did such a good job right here. And then Cloud looks. This is also something we'll have to analyze big time. We've got... let me see if I can pause it. Boom! Okay, so we have a right side up facing world, and then we've got this line right here. And when I first saw it, I thought that this was just the reflection of his gloves that was causing it to be dark, because it happens so quickly that blink and you'll miss it, but obviously the reflection of his glove is right here. Like, you can clearly see his reflection right in there. So when it turns, it's going to be an upside down world. And you'll still be able to just barely see the outline of Cloud right here. Please stop. There we go. Alright, so yeah, you just barely see his outline, and then we get this reverse. And then this is going to be one of those things where I've just got to... I'm going to have to like superimpose and like do a split screen. All that stuff for a video. This is going to be a whole separate video on its own, so that I can actually edit and like zoom in and enhance and all this other stuff. I can't wait to do that. He sets it down, so pay attention to where his arm is. The first time I saw this, I was like, wait, did his clear materia become the black materia? But no, he kind of like, he feels it, moves his hand to pick up the black materia. So he like looks down, moves his hand, and then picks up the black materia.
The hell?
The reunion.
The reunion.
The reunion.
Yeah, one sec.
This will be something important to remember too. It's so sick. This is if I'm not mistaken, the only instance that we have of watching someone insert materia into their weapon. So I'm curious to know if that's how the devs envisioned all materia being inserted into weapons. Like, you know, clearly he's got the blue and green materia right there, so it's like, and of course they're bigger when they're in your hand versus when they're inserted in weapons. So is that what it looks like when materia gets inserted in, except less dark and foreboding? Either way, this is going to be an important thing to remember for fingers crossed 3 years from now. I'll quickly say that too. I do believe it's going to be a 3-year production. So 2027. It'd be cool if it was the anniversary of Final Fantasy VII 30th anniversary. We get part 3. That would be absolutely killer. Like this video if you freaking agree with me on that. But they did mention that even though Remake was debuted, or not debuted, but revealed in 2015, they had a couple years where CyberConnect, I believe, was in charge of it, and then they took it from CyberConnect, and so it was basically 3 years after that in which Remake came out. Then it took them a year for the DLC, and then after that, 3 more years, you get Rebirth. So they've really had a 3-year production timeline for Remake and Rebirth, with a 1 year for the DLC. So I'm calling it now. And I called it I can't remember how long I called it ago, but yeah, 2027. That's when they're going to end it. It's a pretty cool shot. Once again, Tifa has not said a word. She is so distressed.
Don't look up.
Cloud's the only one that can see it.
Well, now I gotta look.
Fine, but don't let it get to you.
I like Yuffie and Reds. They're like, well, we're looking up, but we don't see
It's
anything
not
too.
real. Just an illusion. Now let's go get Sephiroth. He's hiding up north.
North.
Trust me, he is. Soldier's intuition.
Oh, yeah?
They do such a great job with cinematography
You're right.
too. The cinematography in Remake and Rebirth has been absolutely incredible. And Barrett is so caring.
Fine. We trust you.
Like, there's a lot on Barrett's shoulders too.
Just
Barrett's
remember,
like, man,
we got everything right.
I gotta look out for Tifa, I gotta look out for Cloud, I gotta make sure Cloud's gonna be okay.
And that's a load you'd best be ready to carry.
No heavy loads. We're close to capacity as it is.
But yeah, the way that Barrett looks to
Don't worry
Tifa
about
before
me.
he walks up to Cloud,
I can handle it.
you can definitely tell that he's looking at her like, man, Tifa's not in good shape right now. Poor Tifa. Alright, we got the wide shot. And of course we can't see Aerith, we can't see her here.
You gonna be okay getting back?
And if I said I wasn't?
Aerith is still so cute.
Don't worry. It's like a second home.
So this is another important thing. It's like a second home. So that's another indicator here that this is livestream Aerith that we're talking to. Once again, not a hallucination, not Genova. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
But what if something happens?
Then I'll send up smoke.
Cloth
Thanks.
sim, so good.
I'll keep an eye out.
And once again, cloth sim, so good. Good
Everything
grief.
I've got
It
into
looks
my
so
prayers.
real.
I'll stop the meteor.
That's another thing too, you know, I'll stop the meteor. I'm going to put everything I've got into my prayers. How would Cloud have known this in particular? And maybe I'm just missing a small thing where they were like, yeah, Aerith was trying to stop the meteor. And I get that in the Temple of the Ancients, we do see that the black materia is what summons the meteor. We get that from the temple walls and the other story of the Gi and Genova as well.
And I'll leave the rest to you. Good luck.
But it's just the fact that she says that, to me, once again, is a little bit more proof that we're not dealing with a hallucination or with Genova. If this was a Genova Aerith, she would definitely be a little bit more manipulative. This is, you know, listen to the music and you'll know that this is like the farewell for the party to Aerith. Like, this is Aerith's farewell. This is her last moment. This is her last hurrah. And Rebirth does a great job of, in this area, just giving her last moments with her friends, even though she's going to return in part 3. Not necessarily alive, but we have established here that Cloud is able to commune with her through some means, and I wonder if that means is the clear materia that Aerith gave back to him, or if it has something to do with the fact that his consciousness transcended to at least one other reality that we know of, and that was reality number 3, the husky verse, if that's the correct dog I'm talking about. Once again, please correct me if I'm wrong about that dog.
Aerith, I will stop Sephiroth. Trust me.
You promise?
Promise.
And this is kind of Cloud saying, like, hey, look, I'm going to avenge your death. And then her music starts playing. Aerith's music. And then she says goodbye.
Walking city streets with worn cobblestone, listening to people rushing past to rhythms all their own.
Goodbye.
Ah. And then no promises await at Journey's End. Although they can promise one thing, and that is that it's going to be crazy. So, like Renaissance Elf said, there's a good possibility that Part 3 is going to be the one that goes most off the wall, because it has to bring all these changes together. Let's back this up just so we got something nice to look at. Such a beautiful shot right there. But yeah, once again, it's got to take all these crazy things that are going on, and it's got to bring them together and bring them to a conclusion. And the devs have absolutely said that they want to. They would love for this to be a happy ending, like a happy ending for Cloud and everybody. And so, in order for this to be a truly happy ending, a few things are going to have to happen. Cloud has to understand that Aerith is okay where she is. I do believe that there is going to be some fan service of Zack and Aerith being back together. My personal take on it, you know, I was always a bigger fan of Cloud and Aerith, not Zack and Aerith, but I understand why people really like Zack and Aerith as a couple as well, and of course Cloud and Tifa too. The ending of Part 3, though, I do believe is going to leave us off in some happy area. And for those of you who are joining here at the end, who didn't hear me talk about it before, the devs did say that the end of Part 3 is going to align with Advent Children, which is what takes place after the original game. And there's going to be at least one difference. I'll say that one more time. There's going to be at least one difference in their entry into Advent Children if Sephiroth is still alive. I don't think there's going to be a redemption arc for Sephiroth, and I really it would just be wonderful if they didn't do a redemption arc. I don't think this is one of those kinds of stories where we need to have one of those. It's been done in other stories. It doesn't need to be done in this one. It doesn't need to be done in Final Fantasy VII, because for the past 25 to 27 years from the making it, from when Remake and now Rebirth came out, Sephiroth has been one of the biggest baddies in the world, and to give him a redemption arc doesn't fix the initial issues that the existence of Sephiroth has, and that is that he has Genova cells in him, and because of that can thwart the live stream and infect the live stream. Because he has so much Genova in him, it's also possible that, like the Gi, he too cannot be completely absorbed into the live stream. So there's that issue. That's the one core issue right there about having a Sephiroth redemption arc. Anyway, I think we've gone on long enough. It's been an hour and a half. I hope that you guys will leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts on the ending of FF7 Rebirth, and let me know any theories that you guys have. Maybe one that I didn't mention. I know there's still so much that we could have gone over that I just didn't have time to go over right now. And rest assured, there will be more videos coming out going over all the details that I possibly can over the course of the next 3 years, while we're waiting for FF7 Reunited, whatever it's going to be. Thank you guys for watching. Hope that you will like and subscribe. Hit the join button to become a member. That gives us a little bit of cash that we can use to buy games for when we do our live streams of multiplayer games, and it just helps us run this channel. So I will catch you guys next time. Later, y'all.